Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Nutsack, and today we're back with a new video. We're gonna be looking at the UFC 305 full card breakdown from me. So let's get into it. Before I do want to say, shame Lucas Tracy, our favorite YouTuber, unfortunately has retired. So it is left to me and bedtime to carry MMA YouTube, even though I'm like super inactive. I'm like the Khabib of MMA YouTube, but you know it is what it is, and we'll get through it. But let's just do these cards predictions. So, oh, and by the way, I decided to do like this new format where I'm just gonna go on the UFC's website and predict them like that, because making a slideshow for it took way too much time. So, but yeah, starting off with the first fight, we got Stuart Nicole versus Jesus Aguilar. It doesn't show his record right here, but I believe he's like 8-0 or 9-0, undefeated. Flyweight. He's actually a bit of a small flyweight, I heard, but undefeated. He's a really good grappler, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when I checked his record, all of his wins were finishes, which is super impressive. And at flyweight, that's actually pretty like good. So, because you know we don't really see finishes at flyweight like that. And he has a couple like TKOs from ground and pound, which is impressive. Jesus Aguilar is pretty good. He's actually pretty decent. He's solid. Like, I actually don't think he's that bad at all. I wouldn't call him like a can, but he's actually like decent. I think he's like, he only has one loss. He's had like 3 or 4 fights. I think and his only loss is to Tatsuro Taira, who ran through him on the ground. But Tatsuro Taira, we all know that he's elite. So, but you know, I am gonna be picking Stuart Nicole to win this fight. I think he will be good in the UFC, even though he's a bit smaller. But yeah, here's what it is. I'm gonna be picking Stuart Nicole to win this fight. Moving on to the next fight, we got Song Kanang versus Ricky Glenn. I'm going to be picking Song Kanang to win this fight. To be honest, I didn't really do that much research on it, but I just know Ricky Glenn's not great, and Song Kanang has a little bit more power in his hands. So I'm going to be picking Song Kanang by a knockout. Moving on to the next fight, we got Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. This is Dominic Reyes' brother, I believe. Wow, he hasn't fought in so long. They haven't took his picks in so long. He still has the Reebok shorts on in this picture, but yeah, Alex Reyes, I looked at his record. He's been knocked out twice. I think he got knocked out, actually, like his first or second fight in the UFC. And then he took like a 4-year break and has recently gotten knocked out as well. And now he's fighting Tom Nolan, who's actually pretty good. I'm going to be picking Tom Nolan to win this fight for sure by a first-round knockout. I guess the bad chin just runs throughout all the Reyes' family. Alex Reyes, Dominic Reyes. So I'm going to pick Tom Nolan to win this fight, first-round knockout. But he's not the only brother fighting on this card. We also got Herbert Burns, the brother of Gilbert Burns, versus Jack Jenkins. I am going to be picking Jack Jenkins to win by a second-round TKO. Herbert Burns, honestly, just isn't that good, I think. I think he has no chin, no cardio. He's been knocked out by his past 3 fights in the second round, which is really bad luck. He's an okay grappler, but Jack Jenkins is tough, so I think he's going to be the one to get it done. I know he has 1 loss in the UFC. I'm not sure who it was to. I can't remember. But I don't think it was to someone that bad. And I just don't, like I said, I just don't think Herbert Burns is that good at all. So I'm going to be picking Jack Jenkins to win by a second-round TKO after Herbert Burns gasses out. So yeah. But moving on to the next fight, we got a women's fight. Don't care. Casey O'Neal's going to win this one. I actually didn't do research on this one. I'm picking Josh Kalibau though, just because I think he's gonna win. Yeah, okay. I'll just go with Josh Kalibau forever. I should have done research on that, but I didn't. Coming up next, we got Junior Taffa versus Walter Walker. Walter Walker, he's pretty like fat. I'm not gonna lie. He is big though. He's 6'6". And Junior Taffa's a little bit smaller than him, only 240. So he's not the biggest heavyweight, but Junior Taffa, what he lacks in size, he makes up for in power. He has great power. It's that Samoan power. You know, his brother's Justin Taffa, and we all know he has good power as well. And I just don't think Walter Walker is that good at all. He lost to Lucas Przersky, who just recently got knocked out by, what's his name? That Tom Aspinall's training, Mick Parkin. I know Mick Parkin's pretty good, but Mick Parkin, I believe that was his first finish in the UFC, and it was like a first-round dominant KO. So it's not a good look for Walter Walker, and I think Junior Taffa is actually decent. His first fight in the UFC was a first round knockout, I believe, and then he lost to Delima, but that fight was on like a day's notice. So, I mean, and Delima like leg kick TKO. I mean, Delima's actually decent. I think he's underrated, but I'm gonna be going with Junior Tafa to win this by a second round knockout because Walter Walker does gas out. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Junior Tafa to win by a second round knockout. Oh wait, not to mention, Walter Walker is actually the third brother fighting on this card because he's Johnny Walker's brother. But yeah, moving on. I just thought that was funny. Moving on to the next fight, we got Li Jingliang versus Carlos Prates. I actually really like Carlos Prates. He's a great knockout artist. Like, I believe he's had two or three fights in the UFC, and he's won all of them by knockout. And his last performance, especially, was pretty impressive. Li Jingliang's coming off a loss, and he's actually been super inactive. I think the last time he's fought was on that Kevin Holland and Hamzat Chimaev, Nate Diaz card. The one where they switched up all the fights because like the backstage brawl or whatever. Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson, but originally it was supposed to be Nate Diaz versus Hamzat. That was the last time he's fought, and that feels like it was forever ago. Carlos Prates is active. He's young. He's part of the MMA nerds. You guys know the MMA nerds. Gene Silva. Gene Silva's been doing really good recently. Caio Borralho. He's fighting Jared Cannonier soon. So, but yeah, he's one of those guys. I believe there's someone else who's part of their team that I can't think of, but their team's doing really good right now. And Carlos Prates is deadly, super deadly, super great knockout threat. And I know Li Jingliang's never been knocked out, but just because his inactivity, he's a little older, and he's taking a lot of damage. Carlos Prates, young, hungry guy, and you know he's been more active, and he's super fast, super KO. Like he's a really good KO threat. So I'm just gonna be picking Carlos Prates to win this by being the younger, more hungry KO threat type of guy. But yeah, I think Carlos Prates is gonna be a monster in the future for sure. Moving on to the next fight, we got Tai Tuivasa versus Jairzinho. To be honest, I'm not even gonna lie, I can't decide who's gonna win this fight. This fight could go either way. I know Tai has lost his past 3 or 4 fights, I believe, which sucks because you know we all love Tai. Can't hate him. First loss was to Gon, but that wasn't a bad loss because it's to Gon. Then to Volkov, but Volkov's been doing really good recently as well. But then he lost to Marcin Tybura, and that doesn't look that great in hindsight because Marcin Tybura just got ran through by Sergey Spivak. Now, this is tough to pick. You know, Jairzinho is coming off a good performance but it is against like the blob Shamil. That was a fluke, by the way. Shamil beats him 9 times out of 10. Literally hit him with literally it was the luckiest one ever. But sorry guys, I was checking my phone. But you know, this fight is tough to pick. I just think Ty's fallen off a little bit. But I mean, the reason that Marcin won was because he grappled with him. I get it. And Jairzinho's only been knocked out once or twice, I think. And one of those times was to Ngannou, and Ngannou can just turn your lights off whenever he wants. And you know, this is a really tough fight to pick. I think I'm gonna go Tai. I can't. Nah, I'm gonna go with Jairzinho. Jairzinho is pretty underrated, to be honest. I'm gonna go with Rosenstrike by a decision. I just think Rosenstrike's a little bit. He's a little underrated. He's a little sneaky, and you could jab him up. And Tai just needs like that power shot. And I believe if Tai can knock anyone out, if he lands that power shot on Jairzinho, he'll knock him out. But I'm not really certain about this fight. But I'm just gonna go with Jairzinho because he's had the better performance as of recently, while Tai has just been having bad performances recently. So yeah, we're gonna be going with Jairzinho for this fight. Moving on to the next one, we got Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. Trust me, guys, there's nothing more in this world than I'd like to see than watching Mateus Gamrot get flatline KO'd. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna happen in this fight. Oh, I'm sorry. Damn, my fault. But yeah, like I said, there's nothing more in this world, trust me guys, that I'd love to see than watching Mateus Gamrot get flatline KO'd. And I'm glad Dana doesn't like Gamrot either because he keeps making him fight down even though he keeps winning. And I love that. I really don't want to see Gamrot fight for a title anytime soon. So Gamrot will be fighting Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker did get tatted up, so maybe we'll see a mythical fighter, but I don't think it's gonna happen. What I want to happen is I want Mateus to shoot a takedown, and I want Dan Hooker to knee him right up in the middle of the face and flatline him out cold. And I do think Dan Hooker is gonna drop him in this fight because Dan is a really good striker, and but Gamrot gets dropped in all of his fights. That dude got dropped against RDA in 2020. That dude got dropped by RDA in 2024. Like, how crazy is that? Who gets dropped by RDA in 2024? But Gamrot's just like, you gotta pick Gamrot to win this fight. Basically, he's probably just gonna shoot a million takedowns and just press him and clinch with him against the fence and maybe take him down, not hold him down, but then they'll take him down again. He's like a worse version. He's like a less entertaining Merab, and Merab's not even that entertaining, so that says a lot. There's no lightweight I hate more in this world than Mateus Gamrot, but I will be picking him to win this fight by decision. Let's pray that Dan Hooker though can knee him right up the middle. That would be perfect. But yeah, moving on to the next fight, we got Steve Erceg versus Kai Kara France. Now I actually do think this fight is a little bit closer than people are making out to seem. Steve Erceg, okay, so a lot of people are picking Steve Erceg, and I get that. I think I might actually be picking Steve Erceg as well, but Kai Kara is a really good kickboxer, and I think pure striking, Steve Erceg is a better boxer, but Kai has very good kicks, and Kai was able to survive in the grappling against Albazi, and I think Albazi's and I actually think that Kai won that fight. And people are picking Erceg because Erceg had that really close fight with Pantoja, but I honestly just thought that Erceg fought that perfect fight with Pantoja. How Pantoja fights. I hate Pantoja, but you guys know how he fights. He just he'll just run at you, flail his arms around, eat a million shots, and then lock you up, take you down, lay on top of you for the rest of the round, banks it. Steve Erceg was fighting the perfect fight. He would clip Pantoja every time he did that, and he did a good job of getting out of the way of the takedowns. But I think Kai is a little bit of a different type of matchup. But Steve Erceg did prove that he's elite in that fight, and I would be picking Steve Erceg to win this fight. But I think it's gonna be closer than people think. I think I'm gonna be picking Steve Erceg to win by 29-28 decision. I think Kai's gonna win a round. He's a really good kickboxer, and I think Steve is what would I say? So I think Steve Erceg is gonna win this fight, and yeah, that is what it is. But I think it's gonna be closer than a lot of people think, and I think Kai's a little bit of a different matchup for him, and I do think Kai beat Albazi as well. But this isn't the fight to gamble on, to be honest. So I'm gonna stick with the safe pick and pick Steve Erceg. Now moving on to the last fight. I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is one of the hardest fights I have ever tried to predict in my life. I don't think there's only been a couple fights where I genuinely couldn't decide who was gonna win, and this is one of them. I think I'm gonna be going with Dricus. So let's break it down. Dricus has a really heavy pressure style, and we know that Izzy doesn't like heavy pressure styles because Izzy likes to keep range and kick you from range, get the leg kicks, body kicks, and 50-45 you with the decision. However, this is Contender Izzy, so Contender Izzy does tend to be a little bit more aggressive when he strikes. So we could see a knockout from Izzy in the second round, maybe. I think it's either going to be a Dricus decision or an Izzy knockout. I don't think Izzy's going to win by decision. I don't think Dricus is going to KO Izzy as well. Or sub him. I don't think he's going to sub him either. I don't think Dricus is going to finish Izzy, but I feel like Izzy's only way to win is to finish Dricus. Dricus has insane cardio, some of the best I've seen, to be honest, in recent UFC, in recent UFC fights. He got better against Sean Strickland in the later rounds after throwing hard, heavy output, and he had Sean Strickland gassing a little bit, which is kind of crazy. But Dricus was able to throw a lot of output and throw really big power shots the entire fight. And I know his cardio was a problem at the early of his career, but I heard that he got a nose surgery, so that might fix it. Or that, I mean, literally is fixed. We saw already. It's just a tough matchup. We know that Izzy, like I said, we know that Izzy struggles when it comes to people on the front foot and putting pressure on him and moving forward. However, I do think Dricus is a little bit more sloppy than Strickland. I think Strickland is really good striking defense, and that way Izzy can't really make him pay. However, Izzy could definitely make Dricus pay, but will Izzy be able to land one of those shots with this long layoff? Maybe Izzy's not as good as he used to. We saw Izzy make Rob Whittaker pay the first time when Rob Whittaker decided that he was gonna try and run at Izzy and put pressure on him. He KO'd Rob Whittaker, made him pay. Same with Alex. We saw Alex try and finish Izzy, got a little bit reckless, put the pressure on him, then Izzy KO'd him. However, Rob Whittaker and Alex Burr are both a little bit chinny, and Dricus does have a really good chin. But I think that Izzy can knock anyone out. But as Lucas said, in honor of Lucas, as what Lucas would say, this isn't Peaches and Creamville. This is not a Disney movie, unfortunately, and I don't think that Izzy's gonna knock Dricus out, get the belt back, knock out Strickland, and then move up to 205 and knock out Pereira, retire as the double champ. I just don't think that's how the world works, unfortunately. I think Dricus is super elite, and a lot of people underrate Dricus. I honestly been thinking that Dricus has the potential to be a double champ. Maybe he loses to Strickland. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Izzy KOs him. Maybe he beats Izzy and then loses to Strickland, like I said. Maybe he even loses to like Hamzat Chimaev or something like that. I doubt that, but hey, we never know. But yeah, I think Dricus has better cardio, better output, and Dricus also has the threat of the takedown, and Izzy did struggle with the threat of the takedown against what's his name, Jan Blachowicz. We saw him get pieced up in that fight. A part of it is that Jan Blachowicz is maybe just more skilled than Izzy, or not. I wouldn't say more skilled. He was more just like the perfect matchup for Izzy, a guy who's able to check low kicks and a really good striker on the feet. And he has that takedown threat as well because he's actually a decent grappler. I know Izzy was lighter in that fight, but that was his fault. And Dricus is able to take down Rob Whittaker and control him for a little bit, which is actually really impressive because Rob Whittaker has good takedown defense. So I do think Dricus will have the threat of the takedown. He has the better cardio, and I think that his striking is actually really underrated. He has really good kicks, really good hands. I know his style is kind of sloppy, but I think that he'll understand, because I feel like against Sean Strickland and against Robert Whittaker, when Dricus was fighting them, he knew that he could be reckless because he knows that Rob Whittaker and Sean Strickland don't have the power to make him pay for that. But I feel like Dricus is gonna approach this fight smart. This is the biggest fight of his life, and I feel like he's gonna approach this fight smart, and he's gonna know, okay, I can't overstrike, I can't overswing against Izzy because Izzy has the power to make me pay for it. Because if I overextend on a punch and he leans back and hits me with that hook, I could potentially get knocked out. But like, that wasn't a threat with Rob Whittaker and Strickland, and he fought perfect fights in both of those fights. Strickland arguably won. You can argue whatever you want. Like I said, maybe Strickland beats him in a rematch, but for now we have this fight, and in this fight I will be picking Dricus du Plessis to win by a decision. So yeah, that's gonna be my predictions video. If you guys liked it, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.